Hi, it's Mrs. Powmore, and today I'm going to show you how to use 1-point perspective to give you a bird's eye view. So I'm getting my inspiration today from the Maribyrnong River, which runs near where I live, and I've used watercolour, but you can use colour pencils or crayons or textures or anything that you can find to colour in. Even a bit of food colouring in water will give you a beautiful watercolour that you can use, just a few drops in water. And if you don't have a brush, you can make your own brush out of a piece of grass, or you can use an old toothbrush, or you can even use a bit of sponge to apply the paint if you do want to use watercolour. So this is my work of some buildings surrounding the Maribyrnong River in response to all the apartment buildings that are going up at the moment. So have fun, grab some paper and a pencil and a ruler and a razor to start. Okay, I'm going to show you a 1-point perspective drawing looking down. So first thing we're going to do is add a vanishing point into the middle of our page. So just draw a small dot, and then what we are going to do is, using a ruler, making sure they're nice and straight, we're going to draw some buildings from above looking down. So you need to draw a whole lot of squares and rectangle shapes. They don't have to line up. You just need to make sure that they're nice and straight. So check that your ruler is lined up with the side of your paper. Don't worry if you go over a little bit, we can rub those out. You want at least 4, but if you do more, it can look even cooler. So I might do 4 just because it's quicker to show you the technique. So this is a technical drawing technique using one simple 1-point perspective, but it can get a little bit of practice before you get your head around it. So always do it in pencil first. Now, if I've done any wonky lines or I've gone over, always use a rubber, go around. Okay, so now I've got these. Each of the corners of my shapes, the vertex here becomes a point that I can take to go back to my vanishing point. So I'm just going to pick up each corner and take them back to the vanishing point. We don't need to do that one because, as you imagine, if that's the top of a building, you wouldn't be able to see the line going through it anyway. So one's from this side, we go from the corner back to the vanishing point. Now, this looks easy as I'm doing it, and it is once you get the hang of it, but you do have to get your head around this. Obviously, you don't need the outer corner. So here, back into the middle, from out here into the middle, point, and one more. So obviously if you had more shapes, you would do more than this. Okay, so all of those shapes are starting to look 3D, and they're all traveling back to that one vanishing point in the middle of your page. Now, to make it look like the bottom of the building, we're just going to, again, we need to keep the ruler straight with the edge we're just going to draw as though they were along a street. And then this way, along with this edge. So you only ever, when you're drawing in 1 point perspective, your ruler can only go in 3 ways. It either travels from a fixed point to the vanishing point, or your lines must be either perfectly vertical or perfectly horizontal. It starts to mess with your mind a little bit because you want to angle it, but the correct perspective effect is to keep it straight, horizontal or vertical with the edge of your paper. Okay, so once you've done that, you can get your rubber and rub out the vanishing point in the middle, and all those lines up until the straight ones that we just drew. So you don't want to draw too dark to start with. And once you've rubbed it out, we have the edge of your building. So you can see here that the lines that I did, just going to go over them here, because I rubbed them out a little bit. I'm using a fine liner, but you can use a biro, just a normal pen. And I'm going to draw over these lines as well. Now that I've got them right, but I'm going to stop at my line there, trying to keep as neat as I can. Okay. Now, when you've done all of that, I'll show you what to do next. So I'll just finish that. Okay, so I've finished outlining. Now, what I want to do now is I'm going to start to put a story. So at the moment, you've got the technical basis for a drawing, which is great, shows a little bit of your skill, but now I want a little bit of the story. So my story is going to be about the changes around the Maribyrnong River, which is just down from our school. And the Maribyrnong River has started to have all these apartment blocks built around it, more and more. So I'm actually going to draw an example of the river flowing through my drawing. So looking from above, surrounded by all these apartment blocks. And I will colour that in. So, and then I might have maybe some, maybe I could have some roads coming around, circling around some of the buildings. Start to give my drawing, or a bike path, start to give my drawing a little bit of personality. Can think about what would be happening on the roof. So maybe there's some shapes. Again, you've got to follow the right perspective. So if you draw anything of a bigger shape, you need to make sure that you've got the correct portions. Maybe there is a rooftop veggie garden here. So I could draw some things in rows. Maybe you've got a bench. Remember, when you look down on things, shapes look very different. So they don't have the detail as though you were looking straight at them, because you're looking down on them. So simplify everything. Okay, maybe there's a pipe or something that travels through, and we can start to make some interesting patterns on the roof. Now, to do the building's windows, you need to go again from your vanishing point. I can see it faintly here. And we draw a guiding line going down, and then again from here, going down, and then here in the middle. So we have those guiding lines. I'm just drawing them very lightly because we will rub them out. Now remember, your lines have to line up with either the edge this way or this way. So here it has to be straight. We can then move it down a little bit and draw the bottom of the window. So I'll do a double line for the bottom of the window. We're going to draw the top again, keeping that ruler really nice and straight. Double and down to the bottom. Cool. So then we can rub out the lines in between the windows. We don't need them anymore. And we can go over those lines, and they will be in the right 1 point perspective to make it look like things are going down. So I'm just going to have a bit of a play with my drawing, and I'll come back and show you how I finished it. Okay, so I finished my fine liner. I decided to do some roof patterns. I finished the windows, and I've got my little roof garden. I've got a bit of a bike path, I've got the river, I've got a cloud, I've got an oval over here. So now I'm going to add some colour. Now you can add colour with whatever you've got available, whether that's coloured pencils, whether you've got watercolours at home, or crayons or textures, or whatever you would like. I've got my watercolours out, so I'm going to do some watercolouring. Now when you do it, and just a reminder that when you do all these windows, remember the lines go back to the vanishing point, or they are vertical or horizontal with the edges of your paper. There's the only 3 ways that your ruler can go. And work with a pencil and rubber, because it can be a bit tricky to work out when you start using this technique. So I'm going to have a play with some colour and show you what it looks like at the end. So I've coloured my artwork in, and I think you can agree that using I've used all these cool colours. I've used green because of all the parkland around the Maribyrnong. You can really now tell, because of the blue, that this is a river. Obviously the Maribyrnong isn't actually that blue, it's a bit more brown, but visually, to communicate river and water, I've used blue. And you can see the oval shapes and the green. It all ties in and gives you that perspective as though you're up here looking down into the scene. So I can't wait to see what you do, guys, and have fun. It can be a little bit frustrating to learn this technique, but once you get it, I'm sure you agree, the results are worth the effort. Have fun.